Glad you're here. You know that we haven't been together, the five of us, since February 23rd. I heard that, Bill. Whenever you want to go. Ready? Okay. So let's bring the April 6, 2023 Webster Town Board meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dolly, can you do roll, please?
Supervisor Flaherty.
Here.
Councilman Abbott.
Here.
Councilwoman Cataldi. Present. Councilman Cahill.
Here.
Councilwoman Wynn. Here. Town Attorney Janessa.
Present. All right, I don't think anybody's behind the beam tonight, so if I see two gentlemen out in the audience.
Yes.
The next section of the meeting is the open to the floor, each speaker allowed 5 minutes. Are you here to talk tonight?
Not here to talk. My son is a Boy Scout, and for one of his merit badges, he has to go to a town meeting, so that's why we're here tonight.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, we gotta get you guys in here en masse. I mean, there's gotta be other ones doing
Two other ones were supposed to come tonight, and I don't know what happened, but they weren't able to make it. So we're the lone and only.
Well, I don't know, Charlie, I don't want to jinx myself, but it's somewhat of a pretty benign agenda tonight.
Uh-huh.
And go with the wolves on that one. Maybe you want to come back when we got controversial stuff going.
Great.
Like fun.
Everybody loves controversy.
Okay. Well, what grade are you in?
I'm in 10th grade.
All right. Well, congratulations.
What merit badge is this that you're
This is citizenship in the community.
I'm sorry, what is it?
Citizenship in the community?
Okay.
Yeah.
What troop are you with?
I'm in Troop 110.
Very nice. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
What rank are you going for?
Star.
Good for you.
Charlie, were you a Boy Scout?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I saw that from a mile away. All right, well, keeping on with the excitement of this town board stuff for you, we have one set of minutes for approval. I did review the March 16th minutes, and I make a motion that we approve them.
Okay.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Councilman Cahill.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Cataldi. Aye. Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Just want to make sure, I think on the 16th.
I was not here, but I've been keeping up with the minutes, and I've been watching the minutes.
Oh, well, I just learned something new today.
So I've been watching the meetings.
No, I knew you'd been watching the meetings. You know, I honestly, I learned something new. So you can approve minutes if you reviewed the video sheet and all that.
Sure, if you like,
You know what? Prior to being on town board, I'd never been in an organization.
I think this is one of those cases, one of those rare situations where absent a conflict of interest or something like that, you can abstain, but you're not required to. Mr. Cahill abstained, but he could have.
Sure.
He could have voted.
No, and I mean, Robert's rules, other organizations, board meetings, if I wasn't at the board meeting, they weren't taped. So I never had the opportunity to, if I missed the meeting, not abstain and watch the tape. So, you learn something new every day. Cool. All righty, moving right along. John?
No,
No, Bill.
it was John's turn, but he covered for me in February, so I did his this.
And
Okay.
I thought my month was April, so I showed up too. I'm doing that.
I reviewed the bills submitted by the Director of Finance and find them all in order and recommend pay.
Second.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye. And I went over all the prepaid warrants submitted by the Director of Finance and make a motion to approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cowley.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wood.
Aye.
A little housekeeping before I move on. You'll notice your packets and other paper is somewhat thin. Kim Doyle in my office asked me, should I put the 30 pages of like prepaid warrants printed out into these packages? And I spoke on behalf of the board and said, I don't think they need them. Get them digitally so they can go look at them. Okay,
I agree, save some trees.
great. And I have reviewed the purchase orders as submitted by the Director of Finance and make a motion to approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cowley.
Aye.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
I know Chris Bilo, I think, is on vacation this week. He was in at a workshop a couple weeks ago explaining, I think with Glenn Morrell also, of what they're doing in the pickleball. Yes. Bill, this is your department. You want to rattle it?
We'd like to go out to bid for the pickleball courts fencing project, Wednesday, April 12th at 2023.
Councilman Abbott.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cowley.
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye. All right, it's now going to be the Art Patron show for a couple of these. So,
I don't have an agenda, Supervisor, so you gotta tell me what's first.
well, the next resolution up is change order 21 for Blue Heron Construction Contract 1A, the general construction phase 1 of the wastewater treatment facility upgrade. That change order was a mere $952,000.
Absolutely. So that is change order to construct a accessory building on the site of the wastewater treatment plant. That accessory building, I believe we've talked about it here in a workshop a few times, is to replace the one that we moved during phase 1 of construction. It's been in the budget for quite a while, actually, and we've held off because we wanted to make sure that all the process work was done and complete to our satisfaction. There were no surprises, and so now we're commencing on this. And as it goes right now, looking at the budget and so forth, I would think, and looking at the estimates, that we will hopefully come in under budget.
Yeah, and Paul, any additions onto that?
Yeah, once the phase 1 project was near completion, we could see that there was plenty of money left over for excess contingency that was budgeted to cover the cost of the building. So as Art says, we kind of held off until we see where we ended up. The whole project was about $12 million, including the phase 1 improvements. So there was enough for the building, so going forward with it. And it's eligible for the WIA grant, where we received 25% of the $12 million project. So 25% of that $900,000 should be coming back to us.
From a legal perspective, do you have anything else? And I just, because obviously I don't want to quickly brush past something that is on an agenda that says $952,000.
Absolutely. And so to your point, Supervisor, this building is definitely bigger than the old building. It is allowing that department to get all its equipment inside. And we actually shrunk the building from what we had originally planned to save some dollars. But we do have extra space to grow into it for the future. I think we have one extra bay is what I figured. And the building is constructed as such that's to my opinion, that's a 30 to 50 year building. We build it in such a way that if the town ever needs to add on, that building can be added on to very easily.
And I'm just, and Charlie was the old statement, you don't say something in court that you don't know the answer to.
You asked a question.
But this is important, all right? What I learned the last couple of years and being in an umpteen meetings of the $12 million budget in that project and the hundreds of line items that made up the project, that as you started to see that you were going to be under, you estimated, just for round numbers, $1,000 or something, and you managed it to $500. We don't do change orders for getting better by $500. You follow me in this? But as they aggregated it up, and you saw that between the contingency that was there, that, hey, you know what, we can get this done, get the WIA grant. This seemed to make a lot of sense. This is not really an additional $952,000 over and above a $12 million contract.
Absolutely not.
But within the way the law works, you know, unlike when you do budget transfers, capital project like this doesn't allow you to do budget transfers where you just move $950,000 over from the savings you got, actual over estimate, to move it over to be more towards this other part of the project.
That's correct.
You have to do a change order.
Right.
And it can give the illusion to people, you know, especially who know the construction business, where you're doing a change order, that by definition means you're paying $950,000 more than the contract, and that's not the case here.
No.
I rest my case, counselor.
The other thing I think we need to
Thanks.
stress is that we're not doing it just because we have the money left over and we came in under
No.
budget. It's replacing a building that was actually removed.
Correct,
And it
thank you.
was always part of the plan that we needed this building.
Absolutely.
Very good point. Well, any comments, questions from the board before?
No, I appreciate all the thoughtful conversation that went on this week when the agenda and the questions, so everyone understood. It's great.
No doubt, because, you know, especially our young Boy Scout in the room, $952,000, a lot of money?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet you, like your dad and the taxpayers, they probably would want to know a little bit, well, what are you guys doing with our money? Hopefully that explained it.
That's what I was telling him as we were sitting in the vehicle. This is what the town board does. Taxpayers have a right to know where their money's going, and that's
Yes.
what it's all about. You know,
Amen.
thank you.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve change order number 21 for Blue Heron Construction, contract 1A, general construction, phase 1 of the wastewater treatment facility upgrades in the amount of $952,000. This change order pertains to the accessory building to replace the building that was removed for the addition of the primary clarifiers.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilwoman Talby,
Aye.
Councilman Abbott,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lennon.
Aye.
All right, part 2 of the Art Patron Show. Oh, you don't have, did you? This one, you'll definitely need some help from Paul and Charlie.
I think I got it now.
This is about the amendment to the Navitas Project Development Agreement
You have,
for
you have the
equipment and
rules
shop
resolution?
drawings.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Me? I'm sorry, Supervisor, I missed that. So this is a amendment to, amendment number 1 to the project development agreement that we're currently working with Navitas. This amendment is to allow Navitas to submit for, on our behalf, shop drawings and submittals on 10 pieces of equipment that are needed for the upcoming renovation, upgrade, asset renewal at the wastewater treatment facility. These items, we've been working with the vendors for, I would say, the better part of 7 months. By allowing this amendment to move forward and the expenditure of $810,000, this will secure 2020 pricing. These
2022, right?
2022 pricing, thank you. So these are also very long lead item equipment. It is 1 year plus on all of this stuff. So we want to lock in, and the projected savings by doing this will be nearing $500,000.
Yeah, based on when you aggregate these up, what the new 23 pricing is $500,000 more than what we locked into.
Correct.
You know, it's,
We're not locked in yet, right? Or we are?
Once this will help us get to the next step of locking in. We need to do this We need to show a commitment to the vendors and the manufacturers, and this will do that. That will start them again with their shop drawings and submittals back to.
So it'll be agreements from each one of these vendors, that price is locked.
You know, it's funny, and I wish we had a big screen here that we could bring back some video clips of previous board meetings. Because I think in December, we talked about this, that we need to get letters of intent from this town supervisor out to these vendors, these equipment manufacturers. And if we get those letters of intent out to them, that we plan on moving forward with them, they would secure the 2022 pricing. And at that time, I hate to say it was sleeves from our vest, but there was no money that we had to put in deposits or anything like that. For the most part, Art and Patty, you were in on these meetings with Navitas and Art, Paul. We knew that probably by March 31st, at the end of the first quarter of this year, you know, money talks, you know what walks, they were going to want their deposit, their good faith money to start the shop drawings for manufacturing these things. These are very specialty items. I think I can say that.
Yep.
You know, there's, as you can see, there's almost $8 million in item costs from these 10 things. The one that sticks out the biggest is the fan, the dryer, I'm sorry. And that dryer, which is $3.375 million, is one of the key components of the technological advances that we're putting in at the sewer plant. Correct me if I'm wrong, Art, we go from hopefully not having $500,000 a year to haul sludge away to landfills, but this dryer is part of the process that will get us down to these little granular pellets that we might be able to give away or sell as fertilizer.
You're correct.
And save $500,000 in today's dollars. Today's dollars, which this may surprise people, but there's not a lot of landfills taking sewage sludge opening up around Western New York. So if it costs us $500,000 to haul sewer sludge to wherever our landfill is, if they close down, which the one we go to right now I think is closing down.
It is scheduled to close in 2 years, yes.
When we have to haul it further, what's the cost of that sludge hauling going to be? So, you know, and it's a TMI, but you know, we've talked about this project so much. That dryer, that's a $3.3 million piece of machinery. Doesn't matter who installs it, doesn't matter if we're in an energy performance contract, Article 9, doesn't matter if we go through Wick's law and do low bid. If we ended up doing that in the long run on this, we would just put into the RF request for proposals, Mary, that we already got the dryer. We don't need you, contractor, to bid on the dryer, because we got it, right? And that's why it was so important to lock in that pricing through the letter of intent. But we knew the day was going to come where we had to put our money where our mouth is. And I will say, we have kind of put them off at bay for a while now, but they're starting to get a little antsy, as well they should. Now, we were hoping that by this time, Charlie, we'd have the main contract done, construction management done, but for a myriad of reasons, you know, we just don't, we've got a couple things that we still got to get settled up on between, you know, you and Bill Buchan, who's helping, and the Navitas Institute. So since we're not there yet, this seemed like a reasonable accommodation to get us moving along in the deposits. I feel like Navitas is being used here as a pass-through agent by just tacking on to their development contract, Paul? Is that how you see it?
Yeah. That's how I see it.
Once again, I mean, we're only talking about $800,000 on a total of almost $8 million equipment. I think it needs to have a little discussion and questions or whatever. It's a lot of money.
To your point, Supervisor, we actually did look at other manufacturers to try to get commitments from, and some just wouldn't do it because the market is so volatile. So, like I said, you know, we did the LOIs, and now we're asking for shop drawings and submittals, and that's the next step, and then we'll move forward once Charlie and Bill and so forth work out the contract.
Any other?
I just have one.
Sure.
And this goes to Charlie, because I know I understand the reason why we're doing this. I agree with it. That's all you, question going to you too. But because we're spending this money outside of a signed contract, I just want to make sure that taxpayers are sure that this money that's being spent is not any type of job being done outside of the contract.
If it's if we're receiving something for value or paying for something, you know, it can be done outside of the contract, right? In other words, it's not just being handed over for no purpose or no reason. So it's being handed over for any goods or services that we are expecting. And if those goods or services, here it's mostly services, I think. Right, Eric?
It is, but it is goods in those shops.
No, what I'm saying is that the main, even though the
Yeah,
goods
you're
are
absolutely right,
8
it's
million, the
service.
services are, say,
Right.
a tenth of that. The fact is that if we don't get the services, we're entitled to get that feedback. Okay, I guess that's the simplest way to put it. So,
That's
the
my
fact that
favorite.
there's a contract, yes, the contracts are very important, but the other component of the contract is really paying for something that you're looking for. And if you don't receive what you're paying for, then you're entitled to get that. So, I don't know if that answers your question.
Sure. I appreciate it. I just wanted to make sure we had a discussion for the taxpayers.
No, I'm a taxpayer too.
Yep.
Anything else? I can't do this.
I would make a motion that we approve an amendment to the Navitas Project Development Agreement for equipment shop drawings and to allow the supervisor to sign said agreement
Second.
in a total of $810,000.
810,200.
$810,200.
Councilwoman Talby?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. Hi, Mary.
So,
This is yours.
yeah, this is mine. So the engineering department's looking to go out for a request for qualifications for engineering, site plan, and building code review consultant services. So this would just be looking to establish a partnership or a term contract with a consultant who could help us on large-scale commercial industrial project reviews, both the site, traffic, lighting, or technical building reviews that aren't like the average residential or smaller scale commercial that we typically see. So this would be paid on an effort basis, so we get an hourly rate schedule, and then the cost would be covered by the application or permit fees that we're collecting. So it's just kind of, and in case something unique comes in, we have support to do a good technical review.
Now, I gotta tell you, and because I've been involved with this, I think this was your idea, Mary.
Yes.
A couple months ago, I think the Burroughs brothers came in with their 100-acre parcel on Tibor Road and wanted to kind of get ahead of the curve on, did we do a PDD or what do we do as a board to kind of start having them be able to get through the planning board, whatever, the skeleton of a commercial site? Bill, I'm looking at you on this one.
There was a PDD established, yes,
Okay.
you're right, Tom.
Thanks. Like I said, I wish I had a big screen, you could go back to the tape. It made complete sense to take a 100-acre site like that and start to get some of the mechanicals all approved. so that if a developer did come on site, they'd already know that it's gone through that, I'll call it preliminary, that it can handle this much kilowatts, it's, this large of a building, that type of stuff. One of the things that we found during that process, that it was going to be a couple $100,000 based on our current code and fee structure to actually apply and go through and have the town representatives like the engineering department review that stuff. So we're realistic to the fact, we have a great engineering staff, and we have but the type of review and the number of hours that would go into something like that, Mary said, we might want to get into some type of, be proactive, get into some type of contract pricing with a firm that could help do that. It's not costing the taxpayers any money because the developer's paying it. And you would have to just be judicious about when you use them, based on, the size of the project and the scope of what needs to be reviewed. And it won't be surprising in the next couple of years if we have some projects that are more commercial, industrial genres, things like T-Board Road. Since Tessie bought 110 acres on the Xerox campus, I don't think this is breaking confidentiality. I think the Xerox people are starting to look at what other 70, 80, 100 acre parcels over there they can cobble off and sell. Some big company comes in there to develop there, that's going to take a lot of work for our staff to review that development. So that's how I understand it.
Yep, exactly.
If we don't use it, we don't pay.
Correct, yeah, so it helps us with workload, and it also helps us with situations that we haven't encountered before, so.
Good plan?
Mary's got a lot of good ideas, she sure does.
I would make a motion that we solicit requests for qualifications for engineering, site plan, and building code review consultant services for the town of Webster.
Second.
Councilwoman Contaldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn? Aye. Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. Okay, Paul, the only thing I'll ask you on this was a special one. Now that we're in with Enterprise, you guys, you and Betsy, has figured out, was this pre-Enterprise, or you figured out that you could auction these and do better without going?
Well, I know, the first group of bonds was Mary's. We used, Teamster?
For auctioning,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
am not
I
sure,
think so. We
but
got
it
access
wasn't
through the
Enterprise.
So traditionally, I'm going to jump in, but traditionally the town uses RTI, which is the old Teesworth, to get rid of equipment and vehicles.
Yeah, I know that Pat had told me that when they looked at RTI, they thought, we're gonna get more money from auctioning it through RTI, these two trucks. All right? Any questions, comments? Then I make a motion to declare the following items for auction from the Highway Department: 2015 Ford F-350 tag number 06235, and a 2010 Ford F-350 tag number 04928.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Contaldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
I don't even know what to say about this next one. It's gotta be it can't be what is that like a stove to cook a pie?
Yep.
Okay,
1991.
okay, well, I'm gonna make a motion to declare the following item for recycling from the Highway Department: a 1991 stove. You heard that correctly.
Second.
Avocado green.
Yep.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Contaldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye. Actually, is that stove older than our Boy Scout in the audience?
The stove's 32 years old. That guy's like 14 or 15, man.
Couple times.
All right. Is this something that you, Art, were doing with Pat on some piece of equipment that you're?
And we used
Is
to
that the
do
train?
it.
We're at the number 10,
The sweepers.
The Vector sweeper and the
No.
Vector hopper body that were,
the next one is.
It's what's used when they're sweeping up the stone after one of the stone projects.
okay,
Those are being auctioned.
right,
The next one's a transfer to.
gotcha, okay. Okay, any questions on number 10 about the Vector and on
No.
the bills? I would have never gleaned, Bill, that that's for chips, that's it.
All used.
Also,
Also,
Bill's not here.
also catch basins.
No, I know what it is, but I mean, a Vector sweeper, a Vector hopper body.
It's also for catch basins, they use, you know, catch basins.
I'm an accountant, John, I'm an accountant, all right? You do, okay. I would make a motion to declare the following items for auction from the Highway Department in 1998 GMC Elgin Vector sweeper, tag number 02302, and a 2009 GMC Elgin Vector hopper body, tag number 06086.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye?
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Allen?
Aye.
Okay, so this is the one,
Just transferring a bucket from highway to sewer.
gotcha.
Right, but that goes with the backhoe. That is being transferred as well.
There's gonna be a charge for this one. 25,000.
Yes. So, can we explain this out?
Yeah, when you say it goes with the
So-
backhoe.
Yeah, so I had found out that highway was trading in a backhoe. And I thought it'd be prudent that the sewer department look at that, rather than just have highway just trade it out and we don't keep it in town. So that's a 2011 backhoe. Our backhoe is a 1996 backhoe. Our department does not need a new $150,000 backhoe. I approached Pat, he obviously, as long as the numbers worked, I worked with Monroe Tractor, found out what the trade value was. So we will be taking their 2011 backhoe to replace our 1996 for the trade value of $25,000. Now, what has happened in the last few days is I've reached out to Park and Rec to see if they have a use for our 1996, because they use the backhoe less than we do. It's in good shape. If we can keep it within town and give them another piece of equipment to utilize.
So you know this is music to my ears, right?
Keep
You're
going.
all
I'll stop, keep going.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at, working with Chris and Glenn to see if they can utilize it. Again, it's a good piece, a little outdated for us, but if we didn't have the opportunity to use get the one from the highway, we would keep it. We have an ability to upgrade, and if this works for Park and Rec, if they see use for it, then they will have one. They do not currently have a back.
Makes
So
sense.
that's where we're at.
And Dolly, was it last meeting? It's been-
Right, last meeting, the backhoe was actually, the board approved the transfer of the backhoe from highway to sewer.
My hope is that this trend continues. So when highway gets rid of, their next one, we'll look at it. If it's financially feasible, we'll just keep the process going right down through the departments. And save the town and taxpayers a lot of
Gotta
money.
love our department heads, they're doing a great job,
That's,
saving money where they can, and resources.
well, I'm going to make a motion to declare the following item as a transfer from the highway department to the sewer department, a bucket for the New Holland backhoe, tag number 06295.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye?
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Mary and Paul, can you speak to the last one tonight?
Sure. So this is one of the fire marshal vehicles, and it is scheduled for the enterprise replacement program this year. So they're auctioning that out, and then they'll be getting a enterprise new vehicle to replace it.
Complete set, but I saw community development department, but a Ford police interceptor, like, wait a minute, the fire marshals. Okay.
Yes.
Makes sense. Any questions? Okay, I make a motion to declare the following item for auction from the Community Development Department, a 2013 Ford Police Interceptor sedan tag number 05869.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Capelli?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Well, that concludes our formal part of the meeting tonight. We do our round table, which is always fun. I'm trying to think. Mary, we're going to start with you if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, so the year's gone by quicker than I expected, and it's already intern season again. So we've got a bunch of applications, so next week we're going to start hiring or interviewing interns to start at the end of May or early June when they're out of college. And then I've also offered that list of students out to the other department heads if they have a use for an intern this summer. So yeah, looking forward to meeting some new young people next week.
Yes. Paul?
Yes, today, Tom, I filed our second annual report for ARPA funds. It's due each year through the end of, by April 30th of each year, and it goes through March 31st of each year. So today, we utilized about just short of $2 million of ARPA funds. We received $4,050,000 about a year and a half ago. So we're about halfway through it, and plan on putting it to good use.
Art?
I've got good news and bad news. So, as the board is well aware, our flush truck has been a mechanical nightmare. It is still out. It's been at the repair facility for, I'm going to say, 4 to 6 weeks. We'll still be without it for another 4 to 6 weeks. They're still waiting on parts, but we do know that they did pull it in and started carrying it down this week. Good news is we had a field trip today. Paul Adams and Paula Friedman went on a field trip as we've been trying to ensure that all of our assets are correct. It dawned on me that I think Paul may have been to a pump station, but Paula hasn't, and she really handles the assets. So we went on a field trip to 4 or 5 different pump stations, and it was a good afternoon. I think it helped her. I think I don't know if she enjoyed it, but I think she did.
What year is that pump truck?
It's about 11 years old, 10, 11 years old. They don't make that engine anymore for a reason.
So what's the lead time on a new one, you order one?
About under a year. So, and we're always starting to look at building a new one. But unfortunately, we have to repair this one to even sell it.
It seems like it's in repair more than it's on the road.
It is. We've had to tow it twice in this past year to get it anywhere. This is the final repair on it. Obviously, they're working actually with a manufacturer. Obviously, there's smaller repairs that to try to get it fixed, and this is the Mac Daddy. We do know that this has been done on a neighboring village vehicle truck early last fall, and seems to have resolved it. But I would still suggest that we look at a new one.
I totally agree.
Unfortunately, so we have not been able to do any of our flushing, our maintenance items on the sewer mains and on the wet wells. We have had to rely on our neighboring communities for calls, and actually Chamberlain, we had to call them in as well to flush a line.
And Art, just for, we have the sewer plant, the wastewater recovery plant that treats the sewage down in the village road. Flush truck is out in the collection system.
That's correct.
Like 400 miles of mains that we have in town, and 23 pump stations.
22 pump stations, about 350 miles of main, and that truck is also used in the plant.
It is?
It is.
Okay. That's a problem. Okay. All right. Well, Bill.
We're starting to take plows off the trucks.
Hey.
That'll jinx us.
Was it last Saturday we had spring, summer, and winter in the same day? Was it last Saturday? I couldn't believe that.
Getting set up for spring operations. Spring, summer.
Good to have you back, Danny.
Thank you. Karen did a great job of covering this from yesterday, but we had a really proud moment down at the sewer treatment plant where the folks from NYREA came to actually present the awards to our two wastewater treatment plant employees, where one received Operator of the Year. It was Dwayne Hilfiger, and Tim, whose last name is escaping me right now.
Keegan. Thank you.
Keegan.
Kate.
Keegan. Art's over there doing that YMCA for him. Keegan received a scholarship, so they came in and really wanted to present that in person, and it was really
It was
awesome.
very nice to saw that.
Yes. So, and Karen, thank you for
Thank
covering
you.
that. And also, Rick shared with us a letter, a follow-up letter from
Yeah.
Patricia, that really glowing report on
Yeah, it really was.
what's being done down there. So,
Yeah, and I usually do a round table, I don't say anything, but I gotta say that when we were down there yesterday with the NIWE group, the one gentleman, when we're getting ready to do tours, in-person tours starting in May, and we were telling him about it, and he said, you know what you should do is you gotta have popcorn and hot dogs out here. I thought he was kidding. It's a sewer plant.
They don't get enough.
For the attendees. And he wasn't kidding.
John won't go if you don't serve food.
I gotta tell you, I was like, and the guy's name was Chris, I think. And I said, Chris, I hope you don't take this the wrong way. We're really trying to choreograph these tours to the best, for an experience for the attendees, for the citizens, their kids. I can't get behind serving food at these tours at the sewer plant. All right, so, and I don't eat. I don't think that's not a good idea.
I toured the highway facility, they didn't even give a sandwich.
Charlie?
You guys are keeping me busy, that's all I can say. We'll just pass that.
Yeah. Jenny?
Okay, again, I just encourage people to come out and support our community, support our libraries, and also support our museum. I wanted to thank Sharon Pratt for put on a wonderful event about our Webster Women Historic, past and present. I'm such an honor to be part of it, and I'm hoping that you will continue to achieve your Eagle Scout. I want to read about it in the news, someday.
Got another year, yeah, we're hoping.
And also to encourage people to come out and for the Easter egg hunt this weekend, this Saturday at the Webster Parliament Field. I'm going to be volunteer, and I know that other people are going to be there too, so come out and support our community.
All right, Jen, what food are you gonna be promoting?
I know. What's your name again, young man?
Henry.
Henry. Just want to thank you again for coming today. And I would encourage you to stay engaged, not only with what goes on in your local community, but what also goes on throughout the state and the country. I know when I was in 8th grade, I had this social studies teacher. His name was Mr. Egley. And one of our assignments every day was, when we were home, to grab an article out of the local paper and report on it the next day. So we would go around the classroom, and everybody would read a little bit about their article, or to give a summary of it. And I think that's what is missing a lot in our schools today, is the encouragement to learn what's going on in your country. And I had this conversation with my 18-year-old son. He has no idea, because, the emphasis isn't there in school, and I don't put enough emphasis on it at home. So it's really great to see that you're here and that your dad supported you. So you're very fortunate.
Thank you.
There's no newspapers anymore, that's part of the problem. But I
Right.
think they
You
can
can
go
lose
on.
on your phone.
Right. And we always save the best for last, Dolly.
So the town clerk's office continues to collect town and county taxes, and any taxpayer that's using the installment method, before the installment is due by April 15th.
That's great. Well, happy Easter, everybody. meeting is officially adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Yeah.
Have a good night.
Good night.